Okay, get into position.
Head down.
Yep. Okay, action. Lift your head up. Very good.
Beautiful.
Go for one more. Okay, we're rolling. Go ahead. And lift your head. Great, cut that. Awesome. And action. Good. Okay, so I'm rolling, and action. Good, good. Okay. And action. Great, okay. Okay, rolling. Action. Good. Rolling. And action. And second position. Action.
Oh, sorry. I see.
Yes, okay. Action. Second position. That's it, great. Rolling. Second position. And third position. Good. Rolling. And it's almost like the snap, like just give us a snap in your features. Great. That's it. Snap your features a little bit. Good. And cut. And cut. 1 second, sorry. Here we go. Back that way. Yeah. Ray the hero. To the rescue. I'm rolling. Good. Okay, I'm rolling, right? Okay, just cut. Okay, we're rolling. Great. Okay, I'm rolling. Good. Okay, so I'm rolling. So we're rolling. Action. Okay, first positions again.
And
A
you
little
just
too
want the-
far, yeah. Cause you actually use your marker sort of like here. So
Okay.
you could physically move back if you want, if you feel that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. It's rolling, so just go for it. Don't worry. That's great. Maybe a little bit before, if that's all right. Just one more time. And then after that, just go through the motions, keep it fluid.
Sure.
We're rolling, and action. Awesome. First positions again, please. And action. Great. Cut that.
So what do you want me to do?
Sorry. Good. Great.
So shirt off.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Put your shirt on. Okay, it's on. Yeah.
Okay, we're rolling. And action. Good. I'm rolling. And action. Good, cut that. And action. Okay, quick action. Rolling. And so from starting positions again. And action. That's it, good. Okay, starting positions again, please, mate. And action. Great. Rolling. And action. Great. And we're rolling. Action. Good. Action. Okay, rolling. Action. Great. Let's go again. And action. Okay, so we're rolling there. And action. Very good, well done. We're rolling. Action. Very good. I'm gonna go for it and rolling.
Okay.
Yep, action. Okay, action. Okay, and action. Got it. So rolling and action. Okay, and action. Great. Okay, and action. Okay, rolling. Action.
Looks like you're out of breath. You want to take a second?
I'm good.
Okay.
Just get it over this way, please. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, and action. We're rolling. Action. Good. We're on a 50 there. Okay, we're rolling, and
From where?
sorry, yes.
From this. So,
Yes, please, yeah.
good.
Action. Okay, we're rolling. And action. We're rolling. Action. Actually, just one. Are you okay?
I'm getting tired just looking.
Okay, we are rolling and action. Oh crap. Okay. Here we go. And action. Don't worry. We're rolling and action.
The knees. So let's do the knees first. That way, because it's first. Where is it?
The roll or the push out?
The push out. So hers is not on stage yet.
I see you all are going to set this for your
you come over here and you're like this. And I think we also lost this moment. Stay back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
I was
just,
doing that. They weren't coming, they were in advance.
they were not advancing to stop or whatever, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's go a couple before you come here. So you're at that point, I think?
Oh, spite on hill?
Yeah.
I think I'm here, and then I go walking between the two.
You were, here.
Well, wait.
I
No, I slapped him. There we
Right
are.
before that, Dimitri's stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're
The seal of bliss.
This seal is bliss.
Help! I see where all the apprentices set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? If you were man and men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so to vow and swear and super praise my parts, when I am sure you hate me with your heart. You were the rivals and love Hermia. And now both rivals to mock Helena.
Okay, so the ice of the problem is you guys aren't advancing fast enough. As soon as you go down, I love that you guys are going down together. Keep vertical vision, so you guys come down together, and then immediately you just start walking, advancing. Because I want you guys here by the time, after you spit, so like right here.
All right, you want to stay in position.
Yeah, so that she can break through. I mean, because it doesn't make sense if she has a lot of room to have to push you. But if there's no room, then maybe it gives her a reason to push you. Okay, let's try that. Let's do that. Let's see what bliss.
Oh, spite! Oh, hell! Now I see you all are better to send against me for your
Just to
marriage.
fix this real quick, I noticed that you've gone 2 different ways, depending on where he is, you're either around it or you're going through. I like the straight through. So if you go further back, then she can go straight through.
I can- I can-
Damn it, you guys are doing this and blah, blah, blah.
So when he's down, I can push her on the way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect. Done.
That's like seeing you get back on it. Aren't you guys closer to this corner at this point?
I'm here.
Yeah, so you're a little right here. I think
Well,
you guys are here.
where are we?
Yeah, you're
This
closer to
is,
the.
oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys, yeah, because and then you get up, and then you're like this. And again, you keep this line here, this
Oh.
diagonal. And then, bam, he's on you, you push him away.
Okay.
The seal of bliss.
Oh, spite. Okay, I didn't know that.
The seal of bliss.
Oh, spite! Oh, what hell! Now I see you all are better set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? If you were men and men you are, I'm sure you would not use a gentle lady so to vow and swear and super praise my parts, when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. You both are rivals and love Hermia. And now both rivals to mock Helena. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tears within a poor maid's eyes.
You are unkind, Demetrius. Be not so.
For you love Hermia.
Ha! This, you know I know.
And here, with all goodwill, with all my heart, in Hermia's love, I give you up my part, and yours of Helena to you, whom I do love, and he'll do until your death.
Never did my husband's not make a breath.
Lysander, keep that Hermia, I will none. If e'er I loved her, all that love is gone. My heart to her, but as it gets twice.
Thank you, that's good. We have to continue. So let's go to the back row area.
Confederacy? How about that? Well, no, I want to start a little bit. For party next, we offer out all the fully friendship styles.
Okay, so the whole time Hermia's there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much.
Is that the council that we have shared, all the school days, French, I hate starting the music. Is all the council that we have shared, all the sisters' vows, all the hours that we have spent when we chewed the hasty footed time for parties? Has it all forgot? All school days, friendship, childhood innocence? We Hermia like two artificial clouds having with one needle created with one flower, both on one sampler sitting on one cushion, but warbling of one song both in one key. And will you rent this ancient loveless summer to join with men in scorning your poor friend? It is not friendly. It is not maidenly. I think as well as I may chide you for it, but I alone do feel the injury.
I am made with passionate words. I scorn you not, it seems that you scorn me.
Have you not said Lysander as the scorn to follow me and praise my eyes and face, and made your other love Demetrius, who even but now did spurn me with his foot, to call me goddess, nymph, divine and rare, precious, celestial?
She has to walk in.
What? No, I mean on Sun Graces. I think that's when we're excited.
No, I come
Earlier?
but by your sitting on by your consent, you come to the stage,
Oh, okay.
and then they serve you.
Okay. And wherefore doth my son deny your love so much within his soul and tender me first with affection, but by your setting on, by your consent? What though I be not so in grace as you, so hung upon with love so fortunate, but miserable love?
That's a perfect cue for you.
Yeah.
You're looking miserable. This is the shit taste that
Yeah.
So I think that's perfect. Yeah, let's keep that. Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
All right, good. I think that's done. Let's just do the line with
Fisticuffs.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we're gonna move to blocking you with puck.
Where is that?
That's do not worry, Helen.
She shall harm thee not.
I followed someone here who likes it. I don't know, Demetrius. I don't know.
I don't know where this is.
Hold on.
It's the line I want you to do is be not afraid, she shall harm thee not. She shall harm thee.
Be not afraid.
Probably. So look at your line. That's what I want
Okay.
compared to the rest of the stage.
So I'm gonna roll over and what do you do?
So he's gonna come over and sleep it, and then as soon as you feel, you're just like,
As soon as I feel.
yeah. So that way he can embrace you. Okay. All right, let's try.
Jack shall have Jill, not shall the will. A man shall have his mare again, and all shall be well.
All right, good. So we're going to tell Hermia whenever we see her again, and Helena. So I do want you to do a very subtle roll over to this position. Maybe a couple seconds after you feel them get up, because what's going to happen is the eyes are going to come up from the audience and look at this, and I want it to be subtle that they think that they don't really see you turn around so much. So the first thing is you have to be facing that way so you don't see him when you lay down. Second trick is to make it convincing that you very suddenly turn around for this, and that way you can embrace you the way we want you to. Okay? Alright, good.
Alright, you're going to move over, shift over to this side of the computer. Because it seems like you want to shift over to that side.
It wasn't a big shift, but yeah, it's like a half body length, or half body width. Alright, good. Let's try now. See before that plan.
When everybody comes in to speak. Alright, so it's when, for our dog power, Demetrius, speak now. Introducing him, right before you fall asleep.
I am feared to feel that tower. Goblin, leap them up and down. Here comes one.
Where art thou, Demetrius? Come, Demetrius. Speak thou now!
Here, villain, drawn and ready. Where art thou?
I'll be with thee straight!
Follow me then to clear ground.
Lysander, speak again. Thou run away. Thou coward. Art thou fled? Speak! In some bush, where dost thou hide thy head?
Thou coward, art thou bragging to the stars, telling the bushes that thou lookst for wars and wilt not come? Come, recreant, come, thou child. I'm with thee with the rod. He is defiled and draws a sword on thee.
Yea, art thou there?
My voice will try no manhood here.
When he goes before me, he still dares me not. When I come where he calls, then he is gone. The villain is much lighter heeled than I. I followed faster, faster he did fly. If I'd fallen, I would have been dark and run either way. The hero missed me. Come, thou gentle day, for but once thou shalt thy grey light. I will find Demetrius and revenge this spite.
Coward! Why comest thou not?
Abide me if thou darest, for well I wot. Thou runst before me, shifting every place.
And sleep. It's like no ships of sorrows I. Oh, still feel well.
Yet by three. Come one more. Two of both kinds make up four. Here she comes, cursed and sad. Cupid is a knavish lad, thus to make poor females mad.
Never so wary, never so in woe. Be dabbled to do and torn with briars. I can no further crawl, no further go. My legs.
These vows are Hermia's. Will you give her oar? Wait, oath with oath, and you will nothing weigh. Your vows to her and me, put in 2 scales will even weigh, both as light as tails.
I had no judgment when to her I swore.
Nor none in my mind now you give her oar.
Demetrius loves her and he loves not you.
Helena, goddess, nymph, perfect divine. To what my love shall I compare thine eye? Crystal is muddy, oh how ripe and show thy lips. Those kissing cherries tempting grow. All that pure congealed light hot towards snow. Fanned with an eastern wind turns to crow, and thou dost hold up thy hand. Oh, let me kiss this princess of pure white, this seal of bliss.
Oh, spite! Oh, hell! Now I see your dull set bent to set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? Oh, if you were men in vain, you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so, to vow and swear and super praise my parts when I know you hate me with your hearts. You both are rivals and love Hermia. Now both rivals to mock Helena. Oh, a trim exploit, a manly enterprise to conjure tears up in a poor mate's eyes.
You were unkind to me.
Yeah.
Just move, you know, this kind of, you know, shooting like, yeah, whatever, you know, you're an actress. It's just it doesn't matter what you do. Yeah, we won't put the sound. Just keep moving and doing stuff. No, just stay here, but just keep doing stuff with your face or whatever it is. Just, you know, actually, I'm just keep talking to you right now, and it's just you're making different faces, and I'll be enough. Wait, let's just do some headshots. So, what's your name?
My name's Paul.
Paul? So what do you play, Paul?
Play Puck.
Puck?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Puck is the sort of puppet master, I guess.
Alright.
That messes up everybody's relationship.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that? How long have you been doing that? Like playing for the company, playing with the company?
The company, I did Macbeth a couple years ago.
Just, you know, tell me who you are, what's your name, just be an actor right now.
Alright, cool.
So, what's your name, man?
My name's Brian, from New York, and I'm living in Korea playing Demetrius in the upcoming production of Midsummer Night's Dream.
Alright, so how long have you been playing for the company?
Well, actually this is the 3rd show that I'm working with.
Alright.
Full Shakespeare for, so 3 years now.
Alright. Let's just try 4 seconds still shot. You can smile, you can just do some stuff, whatever you feel like.
Okay.
So,
Do I look at the camera?
You do whatever you want. If you feel like looking at a camera, if you don't feel like looking at a camera, it's enough. So what is your role here in the company?
Oh, is this video?
Yeah, it is video. It's not, you know.
Director of the show.
Alright then. What's your name?
My name is Ray Salcedo, and
It's off, Ray. So what's your name, man?
My name is Ben.
Alright. So what do you play here?
I play Lysander, one of the lovers.
What is that?
The best lover.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You're a lover?
I'm a lover.
Are you?
Not a hater.
Red.
Green.
Red Tree.
Water.
Melon.
Watermelon.
Shoe.
Lace. Shoelace.
Raptor.
Raptor.
Tonsil.
Raptor tonsil.
Bottle.
Mine. Bottle mine. Crazy eights. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4,
So ferries and some mechanicals can get interviewed now if you want. So we're gonna start with Act 1. All right, are we ready? Let's set up the stage.
Keep it back.
Now, fair Hippolyta, our nuptial hour draws on apace. 4 happy days bring in another moon. But oh, methinks how slow this old moon wanes. She lingers my desires, like to a step-dame or a dowager, long withering at a young man's revenue.
4 days will quickly steep themselves in night. 4 nights will quickly dream away the time, and then the moonlight to a silver bow new bent in heaven shall behold the night of our solemnities.
Go, Philostrate, stir up the Athenian youth of merriment, awake the pert and nimble spirit of mirth. Turn melancholy forth the funerals, the pale companion is not for our pomp. Hippolyta, I wooed thee with my sword and won thy love, doing thee injuries, that I will wed thee in another key, with pomp, with triumph, and with revelry.
Happy be Theseus, our renowned Duke.
Thanks, good Aegeus. What's the news with thee?
Full of vexation, come on, with complaint against my child, my daughter Hermia. Stand forth, Demetrius. My noble lord, this man hath my consent to marry with her. Stand forth, Lysander. And, my gracious Duke, this man hath bewitched the bosom of my child. Thou, Lysander, thou hast given her rhymes, and interchanged love tokens with my child. Thou hast, by moonlight, at her window sung with feigning voice verses of feigning love, and stolen the impression of her fantasy with bracelets of thy hair, rings, gauds, conceits, gnats, trifles, nosegays, sweetmeats, messengers of strong bereavement and unhardened youth. With cunning hast thou filched my daughter's heart, turned her obedience, which is due to me, to stubborn harshness. And, my gracious Duke, be it so. She will not consent to marry here before your grace.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop. So, I'm gonna have you kind of guide them where they're gonna be, right? So you kind of grab up, they link, there's chains that are broken, all these things. But if you're more over here, or at least Hermia ways. And then when you're talking, if you're mostly talking to them this way, they're not gonna get that. So I want you to kind of like, oh, and then they're doing this, you're still talking to them, but you're like looking this way. And maybe because you're talking about them, you're looking at them. That way, this audience right there gets to see your face. Okay. So, Hermia, or yes, you're gonna mostly be right here. Okay. So again at this angle. Okay. Right. Let's go from just kind of making a face. It's like right, and so that's okay. But you don't even know that. The fact that you can't see what she's doing is okay. Because she's gonna transform this up. She's gonna turn her heart. So she actually comes back. Around you.
Thanks, good Aegeus. What's the news with thee?
Full of
vexation come I, with complaint against my child, my daughter, Hermia. Send forth Demetrius. My noble lord, this man hath my consent to marry with her. Stand forth, Lysander, and my gracious duke, this man hath bewitched the bosom of my child. Thou, Lysander, thou hast given her rhymes, and interchanged love tokens with my child. Thou hast by moonlight at her window sung with feigning voice verses of feigning love, and stolen the impression of her fantasy with bracelets of thy hair, rings, gauds, conceits, gnats, trifles, nosegays, sweetmeats, messengers of strong bewailment and unhardened youth. With cunning hast thou filched my daughter's heart, turned her obedience, which is due to me, to stubborn harshness. And be it so, my gracious duke. She will not hear before your grace consent to marry with Demetrius. I beg, the ancient...
Have you the parts written? Pray you, if it be, give it me. For I am slow of study.
You may do it separate, for there's nothing but standing.
And let me play the lion too. I will roar you as gently, I will roar that I will do any man's heart good to hear me. I will roar you as gently as any sucking dove. I will roar you a tiny nightingale.
I didn't do it too terribly that we find the Duke and the Duchess that they would shriek, and that were enough to hang us all.
That would hang us all under the sun.
I grant you, friends, that if you should fright the ladies out of their wits, they will have no more discretion but to hang us. But I will aggravate my voice, and I will roar you as gently as any sucking dove. I will roar you in tiny nightingale.
You can play no part but Pyramus, for Pyramus is a sweet-faced man, a proper man, as one shall see in the summer's day. A most lovely, gentleman-like man, therefore, you must needs play Pyramus.
We're gonna hear the music. This is all transition. Lights. Get a position. We're done here. Just scout.
I'm not scared. Whither wander you?
Okay, good. We're gonna do this again. This time, we're gonna have the lights dimmer to give you the real feel of what it must look like this, and so that you don't pass this line.
You spotted snakes with double tongue. Thorny hedgehogs be not seen. Use and born to no one. Come not near us fairy queen. Fill a mellow with melody. Sing in our sweet lullaby. La 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 lullaby. La 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 lullaby. Never harm, nor spell nor charm. Come on, lovely lady night. So good night with the lullaby. Weaving spiders, come not here. Hence, ye long-legged sinners, hence. Fleetest blood, approach not me. Worm nor snail, do no offense. Philomel. Yes, sir. You're right.
Ounce or cat or bear, pard or bull, bristled hair. In thy eye that shall appear when thou wakest, it is thine. We want some fire, finish me.
Okay,
You ready?
rolling.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you tell me your names and what character you are playing?
I'm Brian, and I'm playing Demetrius.
I'm Helen, and I'm playing Helena.
I'm Ben, I'm playing Lysander.
Okay, good. So you play the lovers. What is different about the lovers in this particular production than any other Midsummer? What is special about your group of lovers?
Oh, we're full of love.
I think we have a little bit more of a modern take on it. Like, I think if you watch it, you'll probably see some of your own story in it. Because if you've ever been, like, dumped, if you've ever loved someone and they haven't loved you back, I think we take that and we put a little bit more modern.
And make it a little bit more relatable
Yeah.
to audiences right now. For example, like Lysander plays more of like a high school jock. I mean, you know, he's a ladies' man, doesn't really care about anything else. Yeah, it's a good journey between that and what he becomes at the end.
What has been particularly fun or exciting for you in this rehearsal process? What have you really enjoyed?
Getting slapped.
Getting my hair pulled. The fight scene is actually pretty fun.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because I've never been in a fight before. I kind of want to. But, but no. I've always been like, no, okay, it's just fun to kind of play, you know, it's something that you would never do in real life, and then you get to kind of exercise on stage, so.
She doesn't get slapped in this show, so she
I
doesn't
do
know
the
what she's
slap
talking
key.
about.
So that's really fun.
But you're on the slap.
The slappies.
The slappies.
What do you think a Korean audience can take away from this story? How can they relate to
The thing is, with this story, it's very physical. It's a universal language that anyone would be able to understand. I mean, just the fight scene, the dances, the fairies. I've only seen a little bit of their dances, but it looked fantastic. So that universal language you'll be able to easily interpret, I think.
I think anyone around the world can relate to this story, because if you've ever loved someone and they haven't loved you back, I mean, how many people have gone through that? And there's a lot of physicality, like Ben was saying, lots of wrist grabbing,
There's
a little bit of K-drama,
a little quite a lot of back and forth.
Very melodramatic sometimes.
Love, unlove,
Yeah,
love
cool.
again.
What is going to surprise audiences about this production?
Well, we won't tell them that.
Well, what can be
That's a trick
particularly
question.
exciting for them? What can they expect?
What can they expect? Fun. A little bit of adventure. I don't know. They can expect a Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay. What else?
What attracted you to audition for the piece in the first place? What drew you to Midsummer Night's Dream?
The script for me. It's fun, and it's Shakespeare. It's a language that we have. You get a little bit of taste usually in high school, and then it's similar, but it's different. It's like this kind of. It's this foreign English language, so it's really fun to play with the words and the meanings, and yeah.
How accessible do you find Midsummer Night's Dream to a bigger audience?
Oh,
It's the original romantic comedy. Everybody loves romantic comedies, and this is the very first one, I think.
Mhm.
And that's why we study it. That's why it's so popular. That's why it's done over and over again.
fantastic. And what kind of thing, what would you like to say to the audience who will be watching this?
It'll be so fun.
Yeah, it was, the audience that will be watching, I don't know, just, they don't even have to try hard to understand. It's just going to be really simple for them to get it. It's going to be very relatable, and it's just going to be a great show to watch. So just come and watch.
I think sometimes when you hear Shakespeare, it's just, oh my gosh, do I have to read it before I go? It's intimidating, but it's so, I think the story itself is so timeless and relatable that if you come and you just watch and study and just look at the actors, I think it'll just be so easy to understand. Yeah.
Great, that's
Good,
awesome.
thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey Lindsay, how you doing? You okay?
Do you want to look at the camera?
Yes, look at me. Yeah.
I'm well, thank you.
Great. How did you feel last night then, when the play was done?
I felt great. It was an emotional journey, so it was nice to have it.
Right. And why was it emotional? Why?
The material is quite heavy. I deal with a lot of heavy, difficult themes and ideas.
Is that specifically why you wanted to do it? Because it was a comedy, and it was a challenging comedy because the material was so dark?
Yeah, well, I wanted to do it first and foremost because the writing is so enthralling, and it has a rhythm and a candidness that I've never experienced in a script, so that's why I was originally...
Where did you encounter the script?
A friend gave me the script to read.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Thanks. Okay. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well.
Good. So, just for the reference, what's your name and what's been your role in Midsummer Night's Dream?
My name is Lindsay Higgins. I am Artistic Director of Soul Shakespeare Company, as well as the producer of Midsummer Night's Dream.
Good, excellent. And how's the rehearsal period been going for you?
I haven't been integrated a lot into the rehearsal process. Most of my job takes place outside of the rehearsal room, but from the few that I've been able to attend, it's going quite well. There's a great energy with the cast, a great dynamic. From my end and the production side of it, we're having a lot of fun working well together. It's a very collaborative, proactive team that we put together for this show, so it's been a lot of fun.
Excellent. Okay, so you say that time's been spent away from the rehearsal period, so what has that time been spent doing?
Well, my job particularly deals a lot with the promotion and the overall general seeing of the show. So dealing with different corners of the production team and dealing with Ray, the director, and working with Angie, the other production manager, to make sure every corner is communicating and working well together and making sure everyone has what they need to do their job well.
So you did Hamlet last year then, so what was the... what decisions brought you to the idea about doing Midsummer Night's Dream then in the end?
Well, after a very heavy show like Hamlet, we wanted to go a lighter route. So this is actually the first full-on comedy that we've done. With Soul Shakespeare, we've done Macbeth, we've done Tempest, and we've done Hamlet. This is our fourth full production and the first comedy. So I was very interested in tackling a full comedy and taking that on.
Right, okay, cool. And how long has the rehearsal period been this year?
The actual rehearsal process is about 9 weeks, but we were meeting before that, so probably 6 to 7 months we've been engrossed in the process.
And how did you come about the idea about working with Ray? I'm assuming you've known him for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've been good friends with Ray for quite a while now, and he voiced that he was interested in directing. And working in the kind of environment that we do, when you have a person who's passionate about a project, especially as passionate as Ray is about a project, you listen to that when you're running a company, because first and foremost for me, passion and interest in a project is always first when choosing a director. You have to have a director who feels closely to the material. So hearing that he was passionate and in love with the material, my ears perked up, and I listened to that a lot.
Right, so presumably then after Hamlet you were looking for something lighter to do. Was it Midsummer Night's Dream and then it was just a happy coincidence?
Yeah, Midsummer was always on my mind. I kept feeling myself pulled towards it. I kept seeing signs that it was the right play for us to do, and I approached Ray and we had conversations about it, and it it was a mesh of both, a happy coincidence as well as knowing that that's really the direction that I wanted the company to go in.
All right, fantastic. And so how was the casting process for you then?
I didn't have a lot to do with that. I am not directing the show, so that was completely Ray's choices and decisions, but we had a lot of really great talent come to audition, so I know that he had a lot of difficult decisions to make, but the cast is quite fantastic for this particular show. I'm quite excited about it.
Excellent. Okay. I'm having difficulty thinking of more questions. Okay, we're all in. Okay, so Soul Shakespeare has been around for a good few years now. 4 years, you said. So how has the company evolved in that time?
How has the company evolved? Well, when we first began, we were under the name of Actors Without Borders, and we made the decision to change the name to Soul Shakespeare. We've gone from performing in bars, small kind of monologue and scene shows, performing in bar spaces. We've evolved to doing full productions and full venues with full production team, supported with money. So yeah.
Yeah, you've had some quite big exposure, like on TV and stuff over the years. Then, so where do you see, with keeping that in mind, where do you see Soul Shakespeare going in the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, good question. Well, we're actually going through quite a big transition at the moment. I am leaving. I am moving to London to go to school, so we're actually transitioning into a new artistic director very soon. So a lot of that is going to be questions for the new artistic director, where she heads it. But ultimately, I want to continue pushing for larger and larger Korean audiences and finding new ways to connect with Korean audiences. That's ultimately, I see us growing in that capacity and hopefully finding new, exciting, innovative ways to connect with Korean audiences.
Okay, great. And so with that in mind then, you say you want to connect with your audience, so how do you plan? Who would you like to come see this show?
I like getting younger audiences into the shows. I think that's where the future is, and finding new, innovative ways to make Shakespeare exciting for a young audience, college age, high school age. That is always very interesting to me, finding ways to inspire using Shakespeare to younger audiences.
Yeah, it's quite. It's quite good that you use Midsummer Night's Dream, because Midsummer Night's Dream is quite an accessible comedy. So, do you think that Korean audiences will identify with this strongly?
Absolutely, I think. It's a very physical play, especially the way that Ray is directing it. There's a lot of exciting physicality and movement to the show. And that speaks to an audience that doesn't use English as their first language. When you have a very physical, exciting show, like we do with Midsummer, that definitely speaks, especially to an audience that doesn't speak English. So finding ways to incorporate movement and physicality, I think is exciting and fun.
Cool. Is there anything you want to say to your audience?
Ray has made a lot of very exciting, interesting choices with this particular show. We've got a few hidden gems and secrets that I think the audience is going to be quite surprised and excited by. So come to see Midsummer in a way you've probably never seen it done before.
That's great. Awesome. Yeah.
I want the government out of my backyard. I want the government out of my bedroom.
But they do want involved in gay people's
You ready?
lives.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
Okay, ready, guys?
In other people's countries.
What is your name and who are you playing in the production?
I am Cody Benjamin Wilson, and I'm playing Nick Bottom the Weaver.
My name is Dominic Schafferl, and I will be playing Snout the Tinker.
Wonderful. What drew you to audition for Midsummer Night's Dream?
Well, I did this play in college. I just really liked it. It's one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. That and This and the Tempest. So I just really like these kind of more fantasy elements, supernatural plays. So I don't know, it's just a really good play and a good group of people to work with. So.
How did you become part of the production, Dominic?
I became part of the production. Unfortunately, someone wasn't able to be in it. So I was asked to jump in, and luckily for me, this is my first Shakespeare play. I've never had a chance to do a Shakespeare play, so I'm pretty excited to have a chance to join all of these people, which are far more experienced with Shakespeare than I am, so it's a good opportunity to have a nice tiny role in which we all get to have a really good time and have a lot of fun.
What makes this production different than any Midsummer that you've seen, or what makes this production special or different?
What makes this special? It's certainly, I think there's elements to it that are a little more, that are darker than some of the other productions that I've seen. It's still gonna be really funny, but there's just some elements that come. Yeah, just in general, just a little bit darker.
If you could sum Ray up as a director, how would you describe his directing style or the way he has approached the play?
That's a good question. How would I describe his directing style? I think I would describe him, or his directing style is, he's pretty hands-on, I think, in terms of like showing you exactly what he wants, but at the same time he's also got a good pulse on letting the actors explore themselves and their characters. So it's good. It's really nice.
Ray doesn't sit down in a chair and watch you with his fingers on his chin. He actually stands up and like gets in the scene with you, so you feel like more of an upbeat atmosphere and a connectedness with everyone that's involved in the play, not just the actors that you're on stage with.
If you could portray, let's see, how do I want to ask this? Your character that you're playing, what is the one thing you want the audience to know about this character or take away when they see your version of this character?
I think that I would like the audience to take away from my Nick Bottom. I think that I would like them to take away a little bit of pity for him, even though he's kind of an ass. But I guess much like you would pity Gollum, kind of. Yeah, just there are parts of Bottom that are likable, and there are parts that are not likable. Anyways, he's a well-rounded person.
I think one thing I would like the audience to take away from the character of Snout the Tinker is just how much slower he is than everybody else, but has such good intentions. So I think those kind of characters are always just really fun to enjoy, especially because so many other people, including Bottom and Quince, are much more well-spoken, much quicker in pace. So it's a nice contrast to see the different types of people. Snout's kind of a guy that just hangs out and is just so happy to be with everyone else that is so much more talented and better than he is. So it's fun to see somebody, I guess, the character that's a little more humble than everybody else.
Oh, I just had a question. Oh, I just completely lost it. I just had a really good one and I lost it. Who do you think should come see this show?
I
think he should.
I think he should see this interview and see what he's done to it.
Yeah, who do you think should come see this show, or who does the show speak to the most?
I would say, in terms of like age groups and that stuff, I would say it's probably I don't think it's like a children's Midsummer. I think it's much more like kind of like a young adult kind of Midsummer, a hip crowd. So, it really open-minded people. Yeah.
Anything else you can think of, Tim?
I was thinking sort of like if we could focus on drawing the fun aspects of the show, what have you found funny in this whole process? Like what has made you laugh? Like the most during the rehearsal period, and why have you enjoyed it so much?
What has made me laugh the most, I think, during the rehearsal period was just really just in the beginning few rehearsals when we were all kind of, just like myself and the rest of the mechanicals, we were really kind of like just developing the characters and stuff. There are a few bits that are funny. I don't know if I should talk about the bits. Yeah. So I don't want to go into anything specific, but it's just like the process of getting to know each other's characters and just working with each other, and just our kind of mannerisms, all that stuff. It's good stuff.
You know, a couple of things that's been really fun about the process is really just the script in and of itself. The parts that we just play a gang of guys that are putting on a play. But we don't come from the parts of society that are well-versed and educated, so some of us are better than others, but really just the scenes in and of themselves are the best things to do. You know, it's hard to top what Shakespeare writes in real life, even.
Can I just draw upon that thing that you're not supposed to talk about? Can you tease us a little bit with it?
Well, there's some stuff with some onions.
Oh yeah.
That's it. Onions. That's all you get.
We'll say it's onions and something slightly politically incorrect. Just a little. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
How is this play relevant to a modern Korean audience today?
I think the relevance specifically to a Korean audience would be certainly this production of Midsummer really does try to explore kind of gender norms and sexuality norms, all this kind of stuff. So I would say that for here in Korea, it's kind of like very conservative culture. So just to see this kind of stuff on stage that explores this kind of all the gender and sexuality, I think it'd become mind-blowing to a lot of Koreans. Kind of like, watching this? Is this really happening? Yeah, so it's good. It's really good.
I think for a Korean audience and even for anybody from any country, I think it's anyway. So,
Hi.
You're already locked out.
no,
Just hang out.
just having fun with the camera.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys next. You guys are next.
It's all right. So
I think this play is important for a Korean audience and any audience from any country to see a play that is about people and who they choose to make the love of their life, and even as who they choose to be around as friends and how they treat people that are very different from them in different parts of society. I think any play that deals with that is for anybody to watch.
Lovely. Anything else, Tim?
Anything you want to say to your audience?
Final words.
Come see Midsummer Night's Dream. It's a really good play.
Seriously, what else are you doing that is like so? I mean, if you have like a wedding or something to go to, of course, but
you don't have a wedding to go to every single weekend.
Right. And how many weekends? 2? 3?
2. You
can
mean to
find
tell
time
me you have a wedding on both of those weekends to go
on
to?
all of the days we're performing.
Come on, get real.
If you have a funeral, okay, a funeral, fine, but really, are that many people gonna die while we're doing the run of the show? You can find time to.
Just see one of the shows. Just see one of the shows.
We're not even getting paid for this.
Okay, thanks guys. Thank you so much.
They build a record breaker every year. I think
really?
their tallest roller coaster is like 420 feet tall, and it goes over like 120 miles. Rolling. Hi.
What is your name and who are you playing?
Hi, my name is Trevor Fanon, and I am playing Theseus.
What's going to surprise our audiences about this particular production? Or what is exciting about this production?
I think this is Shakespeare's, maybe his funniest play. And what's so cool about this play is that even if you're not a big Shakespeare fan or not particularly good at English, there's enough comedy that you can follow along and understand what's going on. And there's just so many moments that are really clever. But if you appreciate Shakespeare, then it makes the play even better. But I think this play is going to reach out to a lot of, a wide variety of audience.
What have you discovered about your character that you didn't know before you started the rehearsal process?
Everything, because I really didn't know anything about my character before the rehearsal process. So, yeah, just rereading the scenes over and over and over again and making small little discoveries. And yeah, I had no character before the process. It was just cold. But now I feel like I understand my character. I don't think Theseus is a very complicated character. He just wants to get married and wants to be happy. And I think that's the main reason why he allows the lovers to get married, is because he doesn't want to stir the pot. He doesn't want any death or bad things to interfere with the celebration of his wedding ceremony.
What have you found particularly fun or exciting about this rehearsal process, or working with your castmates and Ray?
Well, for one, this is an extremely talented cast. I mean, I would say this is the most talented group of people I've ever worked with since professional theater, other than professional theater, but this cast is just so amazing, and everybody is doing a phenomenal job, and it's going to be a great show. And I think the way Ray is directing it has been very effective, because the cast is so talented. He is hasn't been as hands-on as I thought he would, and he let us make our discoveries and then gave us directions after that. And he had some really cool activities that we did in the beginning that I thought helped us understand the scenes even better. Like, for example, the very first time we would do a scene, each of the actors would have to read for a different role. And then you'd have to listen to other people who read your part and then say what you liked or disliked about it. And then, so after hearing all the actors in your scene read your part, it gave you ideas. And then another really fun activity was putting it in modern day language. And so we would summarize what we were saying in modern day language, and it's sometimes really funny.
Great. Who do you think should come see the show? What audience do you think it speaks to, and who should come see the show?
I think it speaks mostly to younger people, because the theme of the play is love, and it's very appealing to a younger crowd, but I think an older crowd has an appreciation for it too. I think everyone, even whether you are really good at English or not, can enjoy the show. Maybe not elementary school students or middle school students, but anywhere from high school to retirement age, I think, would enjoy the show.
Anything else?
Obviously, it speaks to a Korean audience. How will the Korean audience identify with it? And what measures have we taken to ensure that the Korean audience can identify with it?
Well, I think for the Korean audience, the cool thing about this show is that it's so open as far as like love. The love and the sexuality is very expressive in this show, and I imagine that the fairies, even though I haven't seen them much, are going to be very sexual in the way Puck moves. And Koreans don't always show their sexuality, or they try to hide it, or they try to hide their emotions. You don't have a whole lot of kissing in public or holding hands in Korea, and I think that it'll be intriguing for young Koreans to see the show and to see this much sexuality and expression of love. Just it's like blowing. It's like all in your face, kind of like boom, thrusted right into it. So I think that that'll be a very interesting thing for the Korean audience.
Anything you'd like to say to your audience on Facebook, on Naver Cafe, or whoever's going to watch it?
Yeah, sure. If come see the show. I mean, You'll laugh, you'll cry, it's better than Cats. Honestly, I think you all will enjoy this show. There's so much to like, and it's so funny. And the energy, I mean, even if you can't understand English, you'll find that there's so much energy coming from the actors that'll make it fascinating. And there's so much visual comedy as well. There's a lot of eye candy in the show, and lots of things to see. And I think that it'll be a very entertaining show for everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. That's great. That was really nice.
Hi. What is your name and who are you playing?
Sorry, could you start
in
again?
the-
Sorry. And go for it.
What is your name and who are you playing in the production?
I'm Lauren Ashmorgan. I'm playing Oberon, the king of the fairies.
So that's not typically played by a woman?
No.
Yes. So how has that been for you, playing a male role?
It's been quite fun. It's not actually, it doesn't really present much of a challenge in that way. Because I think some male roles, it can be hard to imagine a female doing the things that the character does, maybe. But in this case, I think everything is quite motivated and maybe even consistent with our stereotypes about the way that women deal with situations with other people sometimes. Oberon is a bit backstabbing, maybe. Doesn't really deal with the situation directly, which is, kind of consistent with stereotypes about how women deal with each other. So in that way, it's not, it doesn't really present a challenge. It's more of an opportunity to play a role that I wouldn't normally get to play, and I get to have a lot of fun with it.
What drew you to audition for this particular show?
Well, I'm very active with the company, so I would definitely want to audition for productions going on with this company. I think mostly my involvement with the company itself. The company produces really high-level quality work.
You've been involved with Soul Shakespeare probably more than most in this particular cast. How have you seen the company transform or change over the years?
I think it's gotten more consistent in terms of the quality of, sometimes in a production you can have a lot of strengths on one side and then weaknesses on another side. And I think we've kind of been filling in with more and more strengths in this company. So in this particular production, we have a very ensemble cast, and they're all really strong in what they do. We have people who are really good at comedy, which is important in comedy. But then we also have kind of real and deep emotions as well. And so there's a whole range of skills that are involved in this production.
What is going to surprise audiences or excite them about this particular production? What can they expect to see in this that they have never seen in another production of Midsummer?
Possibly a female Oberon. There's a deliberate breaking down of gender barriers in this production, not only in my role, but in the kind of patterns of attraction between various people in the play. Yeah, maybe I'll just keep it at that.
Okay.
So we focus on the comedy aspects. It's a comedy, so why will people find this particular show amusing? What's amused you?
Helen cracks me up personally. Who's playing Helena? Oh, I don't know. There's just we have a number of people who are a lot of fun. The mechanicals are. In every production, the goal is for the mechanicals, the tradesmen who are putting on the play within the play, to be funny, and I think they're very successful in this production. But we also have in the Lovers and our Aegeus, and we have just a lot of different people who are very funny.
And is there anything you want to say to the audience who'll be watching this on Facebook or YouTube or NeighborCaf? Korean audiences? This is your chance.
Well, I think this production is appropriate for all different linguistic audiences. We'll have subtitles. That's always been a major goal for our companies, to always have subtitles available for Korean speakers. Maybe not appropriate for super young audiences, but I think other than that is readily enjoyable by all different groups.
Do you think the younger Korean audiences will, the young people, Korean audiences will find it particularly an interesting subject?
I think there are a lot of productions of Shakespeare in Korea, and so this is an opportunity to see it using Shakespeare's original language, and so in terms of that, I think it's quite unique. I
Very
disagree with Trevor's thing about sexuality.
Good answer. Great. We are rolling, sir.
You ready?
We are indeed.
So when I ask a question, kind of restate it.
Okay.
If I say my name is, just kind of restate the question so it's like a full sentence.
Sure.
What is your name and who are you playing in the show?
My name is Paul Silvestri, and I'm playing Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wonderful. What drew you to audition for this particular show?
After doing Macbeth a few years ago, that was my first kind of thrust into Shakespeare, and I found I actually really dug it. So I decided I should want a good crack at a good comedy, and why not?
So you are part of the first full production that Soul Shakespeare did, and now you're a part of our fourth.
Yes.
What has been different, or how has the company transformed since the first production?
The company has transformed.
You can be completely honest.
I really don't know. It's always Soul Shakespeare Company since Macbeth has, from what I know, has always had a high caliber of talent and crew. So that in that regard, nothing's changed. Probably, I'd say it's gotten better, but really hasn't gotten anywhere. It hasn't gotten worse. The passion is still there, I would say, first and foremost.
Okay. What will be surprising or exciting for an audience about this particular production, rather than any Midsummer that's been done? What's special about this production?
What's special about this Midsummer is that I like the fact that it's very movement-based, not just in terms of dance, but in terms of fights, in terms of just social dynamics in a fairly small space, and this sort of connection with magic and industrial, our world as an industrial world, with this very close connection with sexuality. I think without it being gratuitous is what makes it unique.
Great. What do you want the audience to take away from your version of Puck? What do you want them to understand about the Puck that you are playing?
I want people to walk away understanding Puck as more than just a joker, or more than just a trickster. I like the fact that he is somebody that isn't very conscientious of consequence, and when there is consequence, I think he has the intelligence and the thick skin to not care. So underneath that hard exterior and that hard interior, though, what I liked about doing with this Puck is underneath all that armor, there's actually, I think there's somebody who's pretty lost and scared. I tried to think back at everything that happened before all of this. What happened to him as a kid? And I kind of envisioned his mother as being not part of his life, and that skewing his perception of relationships and connecting with people. He's a pretty lone wolf, and somebody who's very guarded, but is when nobody's looking, he's pretty lost.
Great. What have you found to be the most fun about this rehearsal process, or what have you really enjoyed about it?
I've actually really most enjoyed the movements. I've really most enjoyed fitness has always been a big part of my life, and so this is a perfect outlet to see that and just let loose.
Wonderful. Who do you think should come see the show? Who will really enjoy? What audience do you think will connect to it the most?
The audience that will connect to it the most is probably actually I think anybody who's been involved in dance at all I think will enjoy it. Anybody who's ever trained in theater or music I think would come, and it's a popular work. I don't see it as being necessarily a select group that would come. It's a pretty sort of for everybody show. Yeah.
Great. Anything else?
Is there anything that you'd like to say to the Korean audience or the English-speaking audience that you think might sway them to come and watch it?
If you like skin, come see the show.
Good answer.
It's enough for me. That's all I need. Thank you, Paul.
Cool.
That's perfect.
Good.
Can I ask a question? Kind of restate the question so that it's like so that I'm not here. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like my name is full sentence, basically. Ready?
We're rolling.
Hello. What is your name and who are you playing in this production?
My name is Christopher Zazak, and I am playing Aegis in this production of Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wonderful. What drew you to audition for this particular show?
Well, I have done Shakespeare before, but I hadn't done Shakespeare for about, somewhere in the range of about 10 to 15 years. Last thing I did was Hamlet when I was going through my master's program at Brooklyn College, and I played pretty much every bit role there is in Hamlet. So I was in every single scene and had like one line. And I've always enjoyed doing Shakespeare, and I especially have always loved Midsummer Night's Dream. I kind of lean more towards comedy than drama, and when I heard that they were going to be doing this one, I was like super excited because this is probably within my top 3 Shakespeare plays.
Wonderful. So what is going to surprise audiences or be very exciting for this particular production? How is this production different from any Midsummer that's been done?
How is this production different? Well, for one thing, we've kind of blended some of the roles together, and we've also kind of cast the roles in kind of not a traditional light, okay? For example, we have the Oberon, who's played by a woman, and we have quite a few different, I think, different personality types than you would normally associate with some of the different roles. There's kind of a norm that you get where Shakespeare's played very stolidly and kind of in a clipped British accent, and and it's very kind of grandiose. This one, I think, is pretty interesting because we're taking it from a more kind of different take, a slightly darker tone, and a slightly more, comedic tone. We have a lot more fun with it. Let me put it that way. Most people are doing it in their standard accents. Not many people are really kind of going off on a tangent of doing it in a different accent. They're kind of making the characters their own. I think this actually adds to the production because it really kind of brings out the personality more of the characters. It's not the stock characters that you're going to see in the BBC version or even Royal Shakespeare Company version. This, I think, there really is personality brought into the characters that you haven't seen before.
Great. What have you really enjoyed about the rehearsal process, or what has been most fun for you?
What have I enjoyed about the rehearsal process? Well, I will say that when we get together, it's always exciting. This production has been insanely well cast. And the fact of the matter is that everybody, when we come together, we really work well together. I've had the fortune of working with quite a few different casts in the past, not so much here in Seoul, but most of the time whenever you work with a cast, you're always going to get one or two people who are kind of, I don't want to say standoffish or kind of full of themselves, but you always do get people whose personalities tend to clash with the rest of the cast. Here, I haven't really noticed that at all. We work really well as an ensemble. Everybody's kind of giving and taking, and there's no real ego clashing. It's just everybody coming together and saying, hey man, let's make some theater, let's make some good theater, but let's have fun while we're doing it.
Wonderful. What do you want audiences to take away from your Aegeus, or what do you want them to know about him, your particular?
My Aegeus, what do I want people to take away from with my Aegeus? Well, truth be told, I kind of like the idea that Aegeus kind of starts it off. And his decision alone that kind of gets gets the ball rolling in the play. And I also kind of wanted to see, because Aegis, every production I've seen of Midsummer's, Aegis is kind of a throwaway character. He's kind of just there, and he makes a strong pronouncement, and he kind of goes away. And I kind of want to flesh out the character. I kind of see him as, for lack of a better term, a dickish Polonius. And I kind of want people to enjoy that and kind of feel the constant being let down that he constantly feels throughout the play, but enjoy it and laugh at it. So, that's kind of what I want them to take away from it.
Is there a moment in the show that you particularly look forward to, or something you've seen from either your character or someone else that you really look forward to every night?
Yeah, the thing I look forward to every night in the show. There is a scene where when Hermia and Helena and Demetrius and Lysander, they all come together, and it's the point where basically Demetrius wakes up and Lysander wakes up, and they realize that they're in love with Helena as opposed to Hermia, and the war of wits that goes on. The actors that are portraying all four of those different characters are so phenomenally hilarious. Every time I watch it, I just bust up laughing. So that's probably my favorite point in the show to watch. Yeah.
Who do you think should come see the show, or who will really connect with this particular production?
Everybody. For people who I think that should come to see the show, I honestly think everybody should come to see the show. But more than anything else, I think this is a show, like Shakespeare, most people, especially younger people, tend to hear Shakespeare and think, oh God, no, I don't want to put myself on it. But this is probably one of the few shows that I think appeals to all ages, because it is all about young love, and it's all about going back and forth with your parents, and it's all about, desire versus what actually happens. And I think it appeals to the kind of people we want to get over here, which is the younger college age, and the older college age, and pretty much past college age, and way past college age, but specifically with the young people, because they're sometimes the ones that are hardest to grab into theater.
Great.
Is there anything that you want to say to your audience on Facebook, NeighborCat, or
I'd definitely like to say thank you so much for watching this, and I really hope you guys come out and see this, and really hope you will enjoy it as much as I have.
Great, that's awesome, well done. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, hey, how you doing?
Very good.
Yeah, good. So just for the benefit of the people watching, just tell us your name and what your involvement is.
Well, my name is Ray Salcedo, and I am the director of Seoul Shakespeare Company's A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Fantastic. And how did you get involved in this project?
Well, I'm on the board of the Seoul Shakespeare Company, and I direct, so they asked me if I would be willing, and I of course agreed.
Right, okay. I mean, so last year I was talking with Lindsay about the project, and she said some things about moving away from the more serious tones. Did you embrace that idea when she put it forward?
move away from some of the more serious tones of this show?
No, of like say, because like before you've done what, Twelfth Night and Hamlet and
Okay,
is that-
right.
maybe not Twelfth Night, but definitely Hamlet.
Well, when we initially decided together as a board what play we would do, I immediately jumped into what themes I wanted to work on, and so I actually wanted to go in a darker direction than typically is done with Midsummer, because usually it's seen as a very light comedy with appeals to themes that are universal, such as love. But I wanted to work some of the darker themes out because there's some very dark elements in this show. I mean, there's threat of death under penalty of death for not obeying the father, Hermia, if she doesn't agree to marry whom her father chooses for her. So that's really dark, and it ends in a very dark way, I think. There's a lot of dark things that happen, and so I want to kind of draw that out more and deal with some more mature themes. Although it's still, I would say, kid-friendly in a way.
And it's hard though, it's a comedy though, so I mean, how have you approached the comedy aspects of the play?
I'm a big fan of dark comedies, so I think bringing out the darkness and comedy together works well for my taste, and so the vision is largely guided by kind of those two genre principles, fusing them together.
Right, okay. And just for the benefit, again, of those people who may not know anything about Midsummers or know very little, perhaps you could just give us a very brief synopsis on what this story is actually about.
Well, I think it's in a way, largely a classic love conflict story. So it's a comedy, so it's like a romantic
Sorry, can I
comedy.
just stop you there? Would
Yeah.
that be all right? So maybe in reference to it, maybe just mention, Midsummer Night's Dream is,
Okay.
something like that. So just to take it back, for the people who may not know very much about Midsummer's, perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about Midsummer Night's Dream and what it's actually about.
A Midsummer Night's Dream is a story of love conflict in many ways, many levels, and so it's a comedy, so in a way we can call it a romantic comedy that's hundreds of years old, but that is still relevant today. There are some elements that are magical and mysterious, and we have two major settings of the city and the forest, and they represent for me very different energies. Whereas the city might represent some of the more rigid, structural, social ideologies such as patriarchy, filial responsibility, heteronormativity, gender norms, these types of constrictive ideologies. The forest represents largely for me a liberation from that, and so magic is part of liberating some of what the young lovers are fleeing from the city, liberating them from that. So thematically, that's what it's about. But largely, it's about young lovers who want to pursue their loves and their desires, but aren't unable to for various reasons, and so they flee to the forest and encounter experiences with each other, but are kind of manipulated by nature and magic and the fairies in ways that are quite hilarious and fun.
Interesting. You're talking then about the themes and so on. I mean, setting Midsummer's in Seoul as you are doing, themes of love and conflict, they can come into play. Art imitating life, if you like. So how do you think a Korean audience might identify with that when the ideas run in loop, but also in very conflicting?
Right. Well, when I first learned that we would be doing this show, A Midsummer, one of my first concerns was how would I make this relevant to this particular community? And so our audience isn't just local expats, but locals themselves. And so I wanted to draw on things that they could relate to that are still relevant. And here we can see a real pressure for certain forms of ideology like patriarchy, filial responsibility, things like that. Also heteronormativity and strict gender norms. And so I wanted to play with an exploration of that with the show. And so when it comes to loving who you want to love and having kind of boundaries that restrict us from doing that, that is something I think a lot of audience members can relate to, because there are certain restrictions that are implied or enforced here, such as whether it's one's sexuality or class status, age is another one here. These kinds of things can get in the way of an individual's pursuit of their love. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to highlight and emphasize for our audience in particular.
Okay. I imagine the rehearsal process has been pretty fun, equal parts fun and stressful as it always is, but how has the casting brought a smile to your face?
I always go in with an idea of what types of qualities I'm looking for when I cast certain characters for a show. And for this one, I was really surprised by how different it turned out to be for some of the characters, because I saw qualities in some actors that I did not see for certain roles, and so for a couple of the characters it changed it for me. We have a brilliant cast, wonderful cast to work with, and I'm just so happy with the choices.
Fantastic. Any surprises for our audience?
I think there are going to be a few surprises when audiences come to see our show. I think they're going to be fun and sometimes a little, not scandalous, but interesting to say the least. And so yeah, there'll be a few surprises, things that they've never seen done with A Midsummer.
Right. Okay. And how close are you to the material? What does it mean to you to be directing this?
How close is this material to me? Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, how close are you to the material? So, I mean, obviously, you're quite a bubbly and vivacious chap, and obviously with it being a comedy as well. How close do you feel to the material?
Yes, well, Shakespeare in general, I feel a real close relationship to. My undergraduate was largely focused on studying Shakespeare, and part of my graduate degree as well. And so I've always had an affinity for Shakespeare. This particular play, because it's so fun, and there's so much really good comedy, rich comedy that have very rich themes. For me, it's a brilliant play, and it's so much fun to do.
Right. Okay. And is there anything you would like to say to your Facebook and Naver audience?
What would I like to say to them? Okay. Ask it again.
Yeah, sure. So for those people who are currently now watching on Facebook and other media, is there something you would like to tell them or?
Yeah, I would say come and enjoy the show. Expect to see new things. See some incredible talent. I have a host of collaborators that are just wonderful, from my choreographer to set designer, costume designer. All of these people are bringing together, I think, the best possible show we could do here with our resources.
Excellent. Fantastic. Okay, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
That's good.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to racking my brain.
Yeah.
Let
me see if there's anything else I'd like to say.
So essentially what this is, the purpose of this is to... Okay, so obviously you've got a really amazing cast actually assembled for this thing. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about a couple of the people who play the mechanicals.
Right. Well, in casting in general, I'm just so happy and proud of what we were able to assemble. Some of them have diverse levels of experience, right? Some are very experienced, like our Oberon has tons of experience, so does our Bottom. And then we have some new people to theater, like one of the mechanicals. And so the mechanicals together, kind of bringing them together, trying to create a camaraderie with very high levels of experience and very low levels of experience. It's been very fun, because I think it works with their relationships in general in a way that that are meant to be. And so, for example, our Peter Quince, very experienced gentleman and really great leader of the mechanicals, I feel. And it's been great to have these relationships develop on stage.
Excellent. Could you give us a brief rundown of the roles of Bottom and the mechanicals? Who are they?
Well, the mechanicals are working class laborers, and they are new to theater, and they want to put on a show for the royalty of Athens, and they're really trying their best to create a show that is impassioned and well produced. But of course, they're not trained, and so they make a lot of mistakes. And so there's a lot of fun at their expense that is taken by the audience that is inside the play itself, the world of the play. And I wanted the audience that we have to participate in that kind of making fun of the performance, but also maybe take a step back and feel a little guilty about doing that, because again, they may not be trained, but they are doing the show with all their hearts, and that's endearing. And so I wanted to kind of draw that out as well.
Right, okay. And so on the flip side, literally the flip side of reality, you've got the fairies in the magical sort of kingdom. Could you tell us a little bit about the character of Oberon?
Oberon is just a powerhouse of a character, and so the way I've cast it, I feel Titania needs to kind of mirror a lot of that power. And so the relationship I wanted to draw out is not one of necessarily higher and lower of the royals, but actual equals. Whereas Oberon wants to push more of her power over onto Titania. Titania fights back. And so the dynamic, the relationship that they develop together on stage is just so beautiful and powerful to see, that I think the fairies that are below them, are Puck and the three fairies that serve Titania, are quite impressed and look at that as the audience, I hope, will look at and feel great awe, because they are, I would say, the most powerful characters in all of these plays. I don't mean the actors, I meant the kind of power they represent in the story of the play itself.
Okay. And then going literally from working class to magic to I guess everything that's happening in the middle there. So the characters of Theseus and that story thread, you know, what kind of pressures do you think he has on him to just pressures, I guess?
A lot of things are on Theseus' his mind. Theseus admits to having forgotten certain details because he has so much on his mind with his upcoming wedding and also ruling a city. And so there are a lot of pressures he has, and sometimes he just deals with problems quickly and maybe not as considerate to those around him. But yeah, you know, he's also got an arc. He's got a character arc that hopefully will come through.
Right. Okay. And I'm a bit in the dark. I don't remember this character, the Aegeus. Could you just is it Aegeus? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about him and what role he plays in the story?
Yes, Aegeus is probably one of the most frustrated characters in this play, because he has a lot at stake, he feels, with the loss of his choice for partnership for his daughter. And ultimately the decision comes down to the king, to the Duke, Theseus. And so Aegeus is so frustrated that he loses the most by the end of the play. Well, that's questionable, but he loses among the most of the characters. That's awkward, don't keep that. Let me start again with Aegeus?
Sure.
Okay. Aegeus is the most frustrated of the characters. One of the most frustrated, because he loses so much at the end of the play. But is that a giveaway? Should we not say that? Some people won't have been familiar with
Don't
this.
worry, I'll probably won't. Yeah.
You probably won't use it, yeah. Yeah, I frankly think talking about Theseus maybe not, wouldn't be so great to have in the thing, just because it's such a small character.
Okay. I can work around it.
Did you want it because he wasn't interviewed?
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, he was interviewed. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but
so,
he
yeah.
went on and on?
No. He's just he gave a good interview, but I mean, because I interviewed him, I think I need to
just
reference
keep what he
him.
has, and don't let me have any say with him. He's a really good actor, though.
Oh yeah. I got.
Don't mention all that.
He was. Yeah, sorry, that did record. But yeah, he was a good speaker. Actually, he said some really good things.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's great. I mean, these actors, some of them, they really know their craft, and it's wonderful to work with them.
And so Puck, the mischievous. I mean, I've seen it played very different ways in the past, but this is quite unique. I think the way this is being displayed compared to how I've seen it before. Could you tell us a little bit about how Paul's approaching it and what his character actually is and who he is. And
Yeah, Paul, who plays Puck, is coming at his character with a few different personas in mind. One of them being a son of a powerful parent, a child who likes playing tricks, a sexual person who has sexual desires, a dark character who has a darkness to him that maybe scorns those who fall in love. You know, one of his lines, one of the most famous in all the plays, "What fools these mortals be." Just doesn't get, you know, why so many of these characters make so much to do about love, and yet he plays with them, or not yet, but because of that he plays with them, and really takes us into some interesting areas.
Okay, and so with the lovers, could you outline some of the problems that the lovers face? I've seen it played before, and again, it'd just be nice to sort of be reminded of their situ.
Yes, well, Hermia and Helena they grew up kind of like best friends, and so when there's a love, not triangle but square, where at different times in the play these lovers love different people of this group of four, it creates so much tension and animosity that it becomes very heated in Act 3, that I think is just fun to see, because it's something they've never even been allowed to express to themselves, this kind of frustration and antagonism and resentment that they've built up over the years, particularly between these two female characters. The men, they're fools for love, and so they have other motivations as well, but they fight for their love, or for whom they feel they should be with, and that's interesting to see, and that's something that we can all recognize.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. There's some easily relatable sort of motifs and stuff. Do you think a Korean audience will identify with that specifically, based on what you've experienced?
Yeah, I think a Korean audience will be able to relate to so many of the themes, because these themes of jealousy, betrayal, sabotage, love, passion, lust, desire, these are universal. And so the way it comes out on stage with these characters, I think they may not necessarily have experienced, or whatever, we all have different experiences, they will definitely relate or recognize these feelings and actions as well.
Okay. So going back to sort of production, you know, the voice behind the director, if you like, Lindsay, she's been quite instrumental.
She's the producer.
Yeah, she's the producer. Yeah. Sorry. So how well have you guys been collaborating together to get this off the ground?
Yeah, well, Lindsay's kind of spoiled me in a way, because she has given me so much, everything I needed to create a big show, in terms of acquiring for us a space to rehearse, a theater to work in at very early stages in the process, along with collaborators, designers, set designer, makeup artists, choreographer, all of these people that are integral to a big show like this. She has facilitated that for me, and that has been wonderful. There's so much that is involved in producing, and she has worked really hard despite her own other projects, that it's really a big treasure, I think, to have, and I'm very lucky to have been working with such a very capable producer.
Of course. Did she approach you about the project, or did she sort of earmark, or did you sort of express interest in doing it, and then everything just kind of gravitated?
Well, the board itself, we decided the project, and then I threw my name in the hat for director, and she said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. So it was nice to have her, what's that word? What's that expression? That vote of confidence. Okay, let's start again. As a board, we decided what play we would do, and so I threw my hat into the ring for director, and she very early on gave me her vote of confidence, and that was really nice to have.
Good. Okay, let's cut it there.
All right.
We've got loads of stuff there to cover.
So
I'm glad we